I'm on an all protein diet, but I also eat carbs.
That's awesome. Yes. I love that. Welcome back to Five's a Crowd. I am just so ecstatic about this podcast.
You're starting. Beaming.
I am just
You are.
pumped. Okay, today's topic is about the future. But first off, let me introduce myself. I'm Austin. I'm surrounded by my four crazy friends. Cam, Chris, Tony, and Zach. And we're going to talk today about the future. What we thought the future held for us as kids and what we think it's going to hold for us as elders.
Elders.
Yeah.
Who are you calling an elder?
Not right now.
Okay.
But in maybe like 30 years.
Elder millennials is what we are now.
Okay. What just
That
what
was
was
just
that?
happened.
Wow.
Poppity pop.
That was weird. Okay.
It's our drop.
Time travel is real. Someone's coming back from the future to tell us not to do it.
Okay, so to start us off, when we were young, in our wee lad little selves, what did you guys envision life would be like in 2020?
Flying cars.
Flying
For
cars,
sure.
for sure.
But I'll be honest, I don't think it was thinking about 2020 and flying cars. I thought we would have had them back in like 2015.
I think just 2000.
Back to the
Like,
future.
Yeah.
Really? You thought like 10 years in the future from when, you were a kid? You're like, yeah, 10
To
years
be
we're gonna have flying
honest,
cars.
I was a kid. I did not think about the future.
Valid point.
I did.
Like you didn't watch films and you're like, yeah, I could totally see that happening in the future.
Everyone's-
Like Fifth Element comes out and you got
Okay.
these really awesome things where they're throwing in like little tiny pills into a microwave, hitting a button and bam,
I mean,
Okay, you bring
there's
up,
your Thanksgiving dinner.
you bringing up Fifth Element. Yes, that would be freaking awesome. But I didn't picture it until probably the year 3000 or something. So
3,000?
3,000.
You'll be
Wow.
dead.
Yeah,
That's
you'll be
like
long gone.
1,000 years from now.
That's my point. Like
Okay.
I never pictured living long enough to see a future like in the Fifth Element.
Okay.
And that makes me think of Star Trek. And I always thought we would have a replicator by this time. And if you watch Star Trek at all or you're a fan of that, it's basically like what you just said with the pills. You walk up to a computer and you basically choose the food you want and it would just materialize.
Oh, that would be
and you would eat
awesome.
it, right?
That
So you
would
never
be
have to
bad.
shop.
I would be in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
that would be bad.
It's like in Wall-E, how everybody's fat and just on the hover chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where I would be if food was that
You
easy.
could put parental controls on it.
Parental control. Put like a calorie setting, so it's like you can't go over a certain
Hey,
calorie.
that's
That would be great.
that could be a thing. Parental guidance. You know what I mean? Like you could have PG food. You take a BMI, you get a max limit on caloric intake. They're like, hey, here's your breakfast.
What movie is it where it's Benchwarmers, when he goes and pees in the urinal and it tells him like his cholesterol level and stuff and that he needs to cut back on like the red meats or something.
Hey, I mean, we're almost there, kind of, right? Apple Watch can do all sorts of wild stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's even actually a device. I can't remember what it was exactly. I remember seeing it like on a Kickstarter, but you would essentially breathe into it and it could tell you,
If you're drunk.
no, how many.
See this ankle on this ankle monitor that I got?
it would tell you like how many calories you've had or something based on your breath. It was this crazy thing. But it would basically say, hey, you need to eat more of this or you need more of this.
That's
I need
rad.
that. Like
Right?
we were talking before we started this about dieting and stuff, and it's like sometimes the lack of knowledge is the problem. Like what is a good salad? It's like, to me, it's like, sure, throw some greens and a crouton in there and it's good.
Well, everything I put on it to make it good makes it bad.
Yeah. By the time that a salad's good, it's worse off than a burger half the time. But okay, so going back, right? You're growing up, you're watching all these really awesome shows, right? You got like Power Rangers, they got these really awesome Megazords. Yeah. Is that what they're called? Megazords?
Yeah.
You got,
just Zords. Megazord was when they all came together.
Right. You've got Jurassic Park even, right? They
Bring
were
it
like
back to life.
bringing back dinosaurs. There was a whole big old era of us trying to clone animals.
Sheep.
And
Dolly, wasn't
bringing
it?
back, even bringing back things that have been long extinct. There's been, movies like Starship Troopers where we got invaded by crazy insect species. There's like where was your mindset as a kid? Like, what did you think? I know you said you didn't think much, but what about you, Zach?
I thought just like 10 minutes into the future.
What am I gonna
have
eat?
for lunch? Yep.
What about you, Zach? Did you have anything?
I can tell you what. So I don't know why this just came to mind. I can tell you what someone thought wouldn't happen, but did.
Huh.
So I remember growing up as a kid in elementary doing math. And it was like, why can't I just use a calculator? Because you're not going to have a calculator on you all the time when you're an adult. Ha! I do.
And I don't even have to punch it in.
Yeah, a step above that, you just ask her what the answer is, and she just tells you.
Exactly. What about you, Chris? Anything?
I thought we would have space cities,
Space cities, like
did.
floating buildings?
like
in space?
whole
We have a space station.
cities, like
Colonize the moon.
Yeah, I thought we'd like be able to like replicate our ecosystem in space and have our own. What's the atmosphere?
colony.
A whole atmosphere, and just have.
What is
Like-
that called?
Oh, I see what you're talking. Like a biodome.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. I just always thought about that when I was a kid. I was
That
like,
movie. What a wild
That was a
movie.
weird movie.
That's not what. What's
Like a
it called?
colony?
No, when
globe?
you have a like a plastic dome and the
Biome?
plants and stuff start to grow inside
Greenhouse?
of it. No, because my grandma had one hanging in her living room. And you
Oh.
never had to water it or anything. The condensation from the plants would water it and everything. And it,
Kind of like a terrarium.
terrarium,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
the word.
yeah, yeah. Totally like a self.
Gosh, I couldn't think of it.
Yeah. That, I mean, really, none of us are wrong, right? Like all this could still happen. It's just, our gauge on when it was going to happen is way wrong.
Piloted robots.
Piloted robots.
Like big giant humanoid robots that you would pilot, and like wars would
Oh,
be fought in these things.
Okay, like a mech warrior type scenario.
yeah.
Okay.
Gundams.
Dude, that was literally at the top of my list growing up. That like hoverboards, like legit hoverboards, not your stupid self-balancing two-wheel.
No,
platforms.
Yeah,
It's
that's
still
the dumbest
touching the
name.
ground.
That's
That's
the
not a
dumbest name.
hoverboard. How did they even get that name?
Exactly, like Back to the Future though, like floating off the ground.
like a magnetic like off the
Which,
ground. Like
have you seen
reverse
someone's
polarity.
made one?
Wasn't
Really?
it like Audi or something?
I think Audi did.
It was some car manufacturer. They did a whole skate park with Tony Hawk, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think
Or a guy that
they
looks
made
like
one,
him.
but it ran on a track.
It was just a limited space.
Yeah, it
the
had
whole
to.
room you could still do it in the whole skate park, but it was just the skate park.
Was it
Yeah.
because it was like magnets or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
It was like an
reverse
actual
polarity
magnetic-
thing.
They said it was really weird because you couldn't really turn. Like you were just kind of stuck going forward, right? Like how do you turn in the air?
Yeah, no friction. It's like what would happen if you were in space. You're just gonna go.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the video of the astronaut on the space station he gets stuck in the middle of the cylinder and he can't touch anything, and he's trying to get to the side, and he's like
He's trying to like motion air, like
somehow move himself to where he can
That's so
grab
true.
something.
yeah, you're just like stuck. You're just like son of a.
That reminds me
So
of
mad.
Daniel Tosh did a stand up one time talking about Superman. He's like, I want to know how Superman can fly faster. He's like, I'll accept that he can fly, fine, but how does he fly faster? Like
just gets
he's
real
flying all of a
angry.
sudden he's just okay,
Put that extra oomph in
He
it.
thoughts. Kicks on the afterburner.
right?
on the Star Trek thing too, though, I thought we would have where we'd get beamed at places.
Oh,
yeah.
teleporters.
Teleportation, yeah.
Dude, that's still a dream of mine.
Yes.
Teleporting while snowboarding. No lines. You just continuous snowboarding. You get to the bottom, bing, you're back up to the top.
Oh my gosh.
Don't have to
yes.
take off your snowboard.
Yes.
You just keep rolling. Oh, that's still a dream of mine.
So wait, with that though, are you talking like you have the ability to just teleport? Because in using Star Trek as an example, they actually have the platform, so it'll beam you from one platform to another. Is that what you mean?
I mean, just like a portal.
Are we talking
you
like
just
portals?
bing.
Like the game
Portals.
Portals?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Gotcha.
You
You
go
just
in one
roll
and
through
pop
it,
out the other.
Pop out the other side.
That'd be dope.
Could you imagine just travel? Like get rid of airplanes. You just go to, say there's a portal center. So we'll call it the airport, but it's just portals. and you buy your ticket and everything, and then you walk through, and then you're instantly in Paris or
I would
whatever.
love
Well, then you
No
straight up
jet
get it
lag.
put in your house,
Yeah.
and you're just showing up at work
I was gonna say,
or
that
wherever
was,
you got to go.
that was my thing. For some reason, when I was a kid, I always thought it would be cool to have a job in like New York or Paris or California or something, but still live in Utah and just, I got to be to work at 5:30. It's, 5:29, bam. And I'm like right at right in my desk or something like that at
That
work.
would be rad.
Now, what about Casper growing up? And follow me here. Do you remember that moment in Casper, the movie, where the guy is getting up and getting ready for work, and he just gets on that like
Oh yeah.
conveyor belt, and he's going through and he's getting his hair done, he's getting shaved, wax showered, all that stuff. Why is that not a thing?
George Jetson did the same thing.
I'm just saying, we've got car washes. Why not human washes?
George Jetson
called a
would get
shower.
on
My
the conveyor
current,
belt.
my current dream is that I would have a shower where I get in, I shower, but then the shower disappears and just all these fans appear and just like blow dry you like instantly dry, and then I'm just good.
It would have to be evenly blowing on all sides.
That's what I'm
Could you
all
imagine?
for it.
So you're not blowing forward or backward. You're just sitting like.
Well, and there's the thing. So you don't have just a shower head. You have jets all around you that just blast you. And then it just blow dries you and you're good.
I've got
Isn't
an
that what
idea.
George Jetson has? That's
Maybe
like
that
all,
is.
This is like
I
all
never
George
watched.
Jetson stuff.
I never watched the
Oh,
Jetsons.
I love the
Neither did I,
Jetsons.
but I totally get what you're saying.
Yes.
I mean, we could do this for a Mentry episode. Get a bunch of leaf blowers,
Yes.
shower, and test it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I'm thinking like higher power. I'm picturing this like the ones that blow your car dry at the end of a car wash.
Or like
it's
the
like-
one at the mall.
Yeah.
You ever seen the little booth at the mall? It's like the tornado simulator.
That's what I'm picturing is like it blowing from the floor and just spiraling up and then sucking all the moisture upward and you're
Yes.
dry.
I'm mad that bathrooms don't clean themselves yet.
They do in Paris.
I know, but like, why not in our house? Why not clean the tub? Why do I have to clean the tub?
Do you remember the
True.
thing? I do remember an infomercial one time of this little cleaner. You hang it from your shower head,
Scrubbing bubbles.
and then it'll like slowly turn and rotate, and it sprays down your shower when
I
you're
had
done.
one of those. That was a scrubbing bubble thing.
Did it
Was
work?
No, it didn't.
But it was on the right track.
It was on the right
Needs
track,
a little
but no,
robot.
it didn't work.
Needs a little robot that finishes.
It's kind of what are those robots called?
Like
that
a
vacuum?
Roomba.
A Roomba.
A Roomba for
Yeah.
the wall of the shower.
I mean, we're kind of getting there, but I definitely thought by now we would have some sort of cyborg or something that would be helping us with our house, like cleaning, the Jetsons thing, having the little maid going around cleaning up. I mean, I kind of do. I kind of have like a Roomba upstairs that vacuums.
You
but-
tell them what food you want, and she'd pop it right out of her stomach.
yeah.
Yep.
On
Does
a
that
tray
do a
ready
good
for you.
job? The Roomba. Does it do a good job?
It does a good job if it
See-
doesn't run over dog crap.
Oh, dude, it's so true.
That is a
That's the
nightmare.
worst.
Schmear. Brings
See,
it home.
it should be smart enough to know.
Feces
Don't
detected.
run over that.
What would be cool? It's like on.
Hazard.
Have
And
you
it
guys
picks it
seen
up.
Passengers with
Yes.
Chris Pratt and
No, I haven't.
what's her name?
Good movie.
Jennifer
Yep.
Lawrence. Yeah, it's a great movie. But like in that, it's like some food hits the ground and these little robots come out and immediately clean it up.
Oh, that'd be
Like-
wait.
There are
Did I see that movie? Is that where they're kind of like it's just the two of them on the
Yeah.
spaceship?
Yeah.
Okay, I have
It's a
seen that.
I'm pretty
fantastic
sure
movie.
I've actually seen some sort of like vacuuming robot advertised that does that.
Like it's got a sensor that the
It's
moment
got a
food hits
sensor.
the ground.
Yeah. I know I've seen it.
Okay, so these are all really extravagant examples, but what about simple? Like, what did you think video games would be like
Virtual
in
reality.
2020? But did you actually think that that would be a possibility at this point in
Yeah.
our life? Mm-hmm. Because
Not
back
until-
then,
I thought it'd be a lot more immersive.
even further.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I remember there was like the Virtual Boy. Remember that came out, and then there were TV shows and movies about the concept of virtual reality.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, dude, in the future, or like going back to Star Trek again. This is still a dream of mine. The holodeck,
Oh,
an
see,
entire
I'm not a-
room,
that would be so sick.
so you don't have to wear any gear at all. The room, like, makes a holograph of a game, a story, a movie, whatever, and you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be way rad. What did you think communication would be like? Because back then, we had instant messaging, we had email, we had the phone, which
Who's
was
we?
all of us. Well, okay.
Tony still doesn't have any of that.
I mean, we had corded phones or wireless phones at the time. Really, no cell
Well, see-
phones. But I mean, cell phones were becoming a thing.
I was going to say, kind of going back, thinking of the steps forward. It's like we all grew up with actual house phones with the cord and everything. Then the cord got a little bit longer, so you could actually walk the phone to the other room.
Then you got extra lines.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
the cordless phone, then the answering machine, then caller ID, and it like I remember
Internet.
like having each of those.
Dial-up.
Dial-up
Except
was
that
a
one.
thing. Yeah, dial-up.
The cordless had a giant antenna.
See, I remember though.
Oh my gosh, I remember those giant antennas.
You know, one thing cordless phones have that I feel like TVs need to have is the pager button. When you couldn't find the phone, you go to the main jack, you push the button, and the phone would beep on the other side of the house.
How is that?
How
a
is
thing
that not a thing?
TVs?
Right? You can't find the remote. You go up to the TV, you push the button, and the remote starts to beep until you find it.
Dish Network is already doing that.
Are they?
Well, who uses Dish
20
Network?
years later,
Touche.
no one's using Dish anymore.
I
They
just
should've
feel
came
like
out
that
with
should have
20
been a
years ago.
thing back when TV and remotes were, I don't know.
You know what it should do though? It shouldn't be a beep. It should be like, "Hey, dummy, I'm over here." It's like this Boston voice. It's like, "Hey, come over here, stupid.
Catch me outside.
How about that?
Check under the couch. Nope, idiot."
It's
playing
throwing
breaks
its
on
own
you.
voice. How are you doing that? I'm over on the sofa. Just kidding. I'm on the lazy boy.
I mean, how big of a technological advancement was something as simple as caller ID or a pager?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and for an advancement, why doesn't it work anymore? You know what I mean? You only get the name of the person who's calling you if they're in your contacts.
Yeah, that's so annoying. They're getting better. Google's rolling out a lot of really awesome stuff.
My phone's starting to pick things up. Like I had a phone call from the health department because of COVID, and it showed up as Weber County. Like it popped
Yeah.
up, but
I mean, they're rolling out some really awesome stuff through Google right now. Like right now, I can put my Google Assistant on hold for me when I call into a center and they're like, "Please wait," and they put you on hold. You can put the hold on hold. That's
Hold
the
the hold.
best thing ever. And then it'll like ring you back.
Did
Like,
not know this.
Oh, it's the best. I don't wait on hold anymore. It's the
I like
best.
that.
I just put my phone on speaker and walk away and then I have to come running back into the room. I'm still here.
I'm here.
On the when you're a kid thinking about futuristic stuff, though, you're not really thinking about the simple. Like, who thought we'd hold computers in our hands?
Yeah.
Like, have a computer on us all the time.
Yeah.
It's true. Have you seen that picture? It's a side by side of, it's a guy with a radio and a
Oh my gosh.
like computer. It's literally all these electronics, just these huge things from like the 90s, and all it says, all of that is now on this.
and you're jumping ahead because I'm going there.
Okay.
Because I want to delve into Christmas going forward too, because I've run into a unique issue in just now as an adult. You can't buy anyone anything anymore. Like, remember, we grew up, we had CDs. You could ask for a CD. You could ask for a VHS or a DVD. I mean, you guys still do, but I don't.
Buy me a Blu-ray any day you want.
Yeah,
I
but I
already
mean,
have
like-
it, but you can buy it for
But
me.
people have subscription services, so that negates getting audio tapes, CDs, movies. You have subscriptions to Netflix, Amazon.
That's true.
Like, you even have subscription boxes of random things that people love. Go ahead.
Well, there's a simple thing that I didn't think would be in the future, but whoever thought of a future without commercials? Like in Netflix and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
There was never a day where I thought you just don't fathom it that we wouldn't have commercials or that we could watch the show not having to wait a week in between episodes and span a year. We could watch it in a week,
exactly.
like the whole series.
Yeah.
Backing up a little, like when the DVR first came out and it was this huge thing. You can pause live TV. Like,
What?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was massive.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have it growing up. I just like would go to friends' houses and they're like, yeah, just fast forward to the commercials. I'm
Wasn't
like,
the first
"What
one
is this?"
TiVo?
Yeah, TiVo.
And that was Dish Network too, wasn't it?
No, TiVo was its own thing.
It was?
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, you had like a TiVo box.
See, I didn't have it either.
TiVo
But yeah,
box.
I just
TiVo box, and it worked with any provider that you had, but you just had to have the TiVo box.
It was essentially the input would go into it and it would record it.
yes.
Oh, clever.
Yeah.
so this is somewhat off subject, but I just gotta say, kind of coming into technology, I remember my sister was the first person I knew that bought a DVD player, and we watched a movie, and then afterwards I was like, "Where's the rewind button?" And I remember wanting to rewind it after it was done because I was so used to VHS.
I
And she was
remember
like,
all
"Hey, don't
those
rewind it."
jokes, and you probably saw it a lot at Blockbuster, right? Was the like "Be Kind Rewind" stickers slapped on DVDs? It's like, yeah, that's funny. We don't need to do that here.
Dude, so I don't know why this made me think of it, but talking about a piece of technology that I thought was futuristic but was actually really old. Did you guys ever see a laser disc when you were in elementary school?
Yes.
Yes.
And this is after CDs were a thing.
Yes.
And I remember we watched Dr. Zhivago on a laser disc, and it looks like a record player that plays a record-sized CD. And I remember seeing it and going like, wow, this is the future. And then later finding out that was like really old technology.
So
Oh, go ahead.
so to go back onto what you were saying about all the tech being all jam-packed into your phone, that's like what I'm talking about with gifts is you're being limited on the amount of tech you can give as a gift, right? You no longer need to give out Walkmans or CD players or flashlights or
Voice recorders.
voice recorders, compasses, all this, even cameras. You don't even need to gift a camera anymore because it's all on a
Yeah,
phone.
it's all in there.
And on top of here's the other side of that problem though, is that if you do want to gift any of that stuff, it's way more expensive
Yeah.
Yeah.
than what we were given when we were kids.
And half the time, your phone does it better anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what going forward, unless you have something else to say.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Just what, like, I know we're kind of on the topic of technology, but anything, what invention or whatnot as a kid or maybe even as a teen was an amazing thing and then it went nowhere? Like it was so awesome that you think by now it would be blowing up and it's gone. Like it was almost too ahead of its time that it died before it even had a chance.
The Game Glove.
Game Gear. Oh,
Game Glove, Game Gear, PSP.
yeah. I mean, especially the Game Gear. We've touched on this before.
Yeah.
It was so ahead of its time. It was the first handheld gaming device that had a full color screen,
Backlit.
but yet Game Boy trumped it, even though it was like behind it. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was like a pricing point or games. I don't know why it didn't succeed, but it was definitely not.
Yeah. I didn't have one specifically. I was just curious.
I know there's a lot, but I have a huge mental block right now because I know I've seen things and I'm like, man, it was just too good when it came out and it didn't take off, which is weird.
Yep.
Trying to think if there's anything else that I can, of what we thought life would be like by now. Because we've done the extravagant, but I mean,
I feel like laser guns.
Yeah.
You know,
Spaceships? No,
watching
it's just-
sci-fi stuff like
Lasers, straight up spaceships.
Yeah. I mean, to
X-ray
credit it,
vision, having glasses where you can see
Yes.
through things.
we actually do have laser guns, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Do you know
but
about
I mean,
those?
like common
Like handheld.
common ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rail gun, isn't it? It's
Well, no, railguns shoot actual metal because they use electromagnetics. But there are laser guns that actually shoot such a high concentration of a beam that it will destroy stuff.
Yeah. They have them on cruise, or not cruise ships. They have
All
them
right,
on,
you're outta here.
marine, what do they call those?
destroyers.
Destroyers, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they
They
it's
shoot
funny
down
because
missiles.
railguns, they have to actually like plot ahead, right? To try and hit a missile that's flying. And have you seen those things fire off rounds?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
It's insane.
You're thinking of the gosh, I forgot the name of it. It's the big canister looking thing with a Gatling on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They shoot out like thousands of rounds a minute. And
Is that what's on Olympus Has Fallen? With
Yes.
Gerard Butler
Probably.
on top of the White House.
Yep.
And it'll totally track a missile and shoot ahead of it and knock him out of the sky. But they actually have laser cannons now that are instantaneous. They don't
Yeah.
have to aim ahead. It's literally like Point, click, boom.
They're putting them on.
Gone.
They're actually putting them on jets.
See,
I
and
just read an article.
I heard with that
crazy.
laser gun, though, I heard it just disrupts the electronics in the missile. Is what it does. Is it burns up the electronics to keep it from functioning.
No, it disintegrates them.
Really?
Yeah.
Takes
You know,
it
it'd be
out.
funny if it was on cruise ships. You know, any icebergs there, bam. Get rid of not doing that again.
Get rid of the pirate problem.
Or they just go through it. They're like, hey guys, look at this. We got a new feature here on the Disney Fantasy. Come here on the start. I don't know what's
Throw whatever you don't want
Come to the
anymore
upper
off the
deck
side, and we'll get rid of it.
No, I was just gonna say we're gonna go through the iceberg straight ahead. Come on out. It's a fantastic time. We'll do a light show on the walls as we go through.
Disney's Winter Wonderland.
Fun fact, everyone: global warming's not real. We just keep destroying icebergs.
Wow.
It's like World of Color.
So okay, well, so iPhone was then introduced in what 2004,
7.
2007. So that was way ahead of its
That was
time.
game changer.
Game changer. The first smartphone. That was where everything started to be replaced.
Well, and that was the big thing at the keynote with Steve Jobs. Was he was like internet, music, phone calls, messages, but all on one device.
Yeah.
And then he pulled it up, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, crazy.
Before that, you had, like, kind of backing up, you had an MP3 player for your music.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to start out. Is you had your iPod.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my car, scrolling through my CDs and going, this one.
Not
And then-
scrolling, you have your booklet.
But yeah,
Oh,
your
yeah.
booklet. Just going through, and then iPods came out, and I was like, those are cool, but I don't know if I ever want one.
They're the best.
And then I got one, and I remember spending hours upon hours downloading all of my CDs onto my computer, putting it into iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
Transferring it to my iPod.
Renaming it.
Right? And then, spending all the time putting the track information in. And now I look at myself and go, I wasted so much time.
Yeah.
Because
So
now I'm
true.
paying $10 a month or whatever. And all of that music is right there on my phone, all ready to go. Download it instantly.
Yep.
And all you got to do is ask.
And you don't even have to download it. You just start streaming it.
Now,
Yeah.
I find myself in a weird predicament is that I have so much music to pick that I go back to just what I know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm the same.
It's so annoying. You're like in the car, you're like, okay, I got 10 minutes. What do I want to listen to? Let's think of something obscure. And I'm just going to listen to what I listened to 10 minutes ago.
Dude, I'm just going to let the
you know
song
what?
keep playing, whatever.
I just had an epiphany. I just became my dad listening to Crystal Gale. And
Crystal Gale.
you never heard of Crystal Gale? It's just me then. But that's what my dad would listen to. Is just the stuff he knew. We're those people now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it, more so that my mind can't think of stuff.
maybe that's
Because
the
I
problem.
used to have so many, because you'd have your CDs, you'd have all of the artists that you know in your possession. And now you have access to everything. And now I don't know half the artists that I know. I just
You're
know the
paralyzed
songs.
by choice.
My
Yeah.
thing is too, is I would go every Tuesday over to Best Buy, or before they went out of business, Circuit City, all that stuff. And I would
Media
actually
Play.
go Media Play,
Sam Goody.
Sam Goody. I would go buy new CDs every Tuesday. And I would actually have the funds, I'd save up money and I'd go buy 2 or 3 new CDs every Tuesday.
Bro, that's
Spend
like,
the week
that's like
listening to them.
$38.
I know. It was about $30 to $40 a week that I'd spend on music.
Yeah.
And I'd sit in my car and I'd listen to it. Everywhere I was driving, I'd play the track over and over, the whole album over and over again. Now it's like, I'm just getting lazy. I hear a new band and I'm like, oh, this sounds great. I'll listen to 1 or 2 songs back. This is all right. Let's go on to the next one.
I just find myself making
There's no
playlists.
investment.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
find myself making playlists of songs that I like, not actual artists and getting
Exactly.
to know them,
Yep.
which is a big bummer.
yeah.
Well, I don't feel like they're the caliber they used to be either, though.
I don't know,
In
man.
some ways, yes, but
Yeah.
in the band area, you don't really see many bands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who rap, hip hop, or dance music, EDM stuff like that has become real popular.
I disagree,
a lot of
sir.
stuff. Well, a lot of using like samples
Oh.
and mixing things instead of actually
Well, it's like
getting in a studio, playing instruments, and making music.
it's like that Marshmello.
Mm-hmm.
He's extremely famous, but he just mixes the music and the other people come in and sing.
And
And
some of them are so socially awkward too. That's what's funny.
Yeah.
You see these stars and they're just like weirdos in their basement, but they're millionaires now.
Yeah.
See,
well, that goes on another point. People like jobs coming out of nowhere, right? Growing up, we never would have thought that you could be a professional gamer.
Being lied to, saying we couldn't.
There are gamers now making more money than we could fathom. And there are jobs that are no longer here that we thought would never go away, right? You've got the Sam Goody, you've got the Blockbusters, you got the Circuit Cities. I'm surprised Best Buy is still around, but they've done well. Keep doing well. I support them as much as I
They're
can.
dealing in electronics.
They are. But
I think
mean,
that was their thing, is they focused on electronics as a whole instead of just movies, just music.
yeah.
But
So I'm gonna throw this out here because you had asked the question before we started. What do we expect in the next 30 years? I'm gonna throw my hat out there for. I don't expect brick and mortar stores anymore in the next 30 years.
Not at all.
In 30 years, it's all going to be online.
Yep.
Warehouse.
Brick and mortar
Then
is going
what's
to be
going to
out.
be there?
Especially
Like,
with
what do we do with that space now?
well, you
It all
look at
becomes
it
housing.
too.
housing.
Yeah.
You look at it too. With COVID, we shut down, and everybody has like gone straight to online. You know, playing off of Tony. You know, I just made fun of him earlier tonight because he uses my Amazon and literally ordered his entire Christmas
Yeah.
off of Amazon.
I mean,
Like,
there are some arguments where you will need to go there in person. Like I couldn't imagine, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine doing like home improvement without having an
Yeah.
actual brick and mortar store to go to get your lumber and your
Yeah.
tools. And,
Without having a place to stand in the aisle for 40 minutes trying to figure out the difference between two screws.
yeah, I mean, yeah. But am I wrong? Like, could you
No.
imagine?
No.
Like that's one place that I can't imagine going away. I'm probably going to be proven wrong in like 20 years. You know, Home Depot, go online, you know, order your crap and it'll be to your door in
I
20
mean, you
minutes.
can do that right now, but you don't have to.
So kind of with that is like clothing, but this kind of brings me to the future thing. So I buy clothes online sometimes, but most of the time I find myself returning it because it doesn't fit right and stuff. So it's like usually you like to go to the store, try it on. But I want to say I saw it in a movie one time where the clothes were almost digitally put on them just so they could see what it would look like on them and everything. And then they would go in and order it.
You want to know what's crazy? That already exists
Does it?
With the glasses?
with the glasses.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is not a sponsored post. I'm not going to pitch the company.
Oh, we'll take a check.
But there is a company that we've worked with where they have they use the face scanners on your phones, and you can actually see how the glasses would look on you before you buy them.
Use an AR.
Yep.
it's the same thing now. In fact, that was one of the big selling points of the new iPhone is they have an enhanced feature now with it where you can use that stuff and you can actually, like if you're looking at a couch online, you can have the feature on your iPhone scan your living room and it will pop that couch right into your living room where you want it. Life size everything. So you're looking at your phone and you can see what this couch will look like and you can move it around, you can adjust it, all that stuff. And you can go, oh, this will look really good. Order.
Yep. Well, you can do that now on Amazon.com.
Yeah, I've noticed
You
that on
hop that in
Amazon.
your phone, and bam, there it is. AR right in
IKEA.
your living room.
I've even noticed it with doing Christmas shopping, buying some toys. It's like, see what it looks like in your bedroom. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Like,
Even-
I just
What
want to.
toys are you buying for your bedroom?
A lot of people were messing with their friends or loved ones, and they were doing that with like the PS5, and they would AR it on the bed and take a picture and send it to them.
No.
Yeah, and it looked so real.
Dude, it does. It looks really real.
It's nuts.
It's wild.
So
So,
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, I wanted to throw this at you with the whole Home Depot and everything like that. It's going to take a lot of work to do because, for instance, I just ordered some video games off of GameStop. They totally got half my order right, the other half. They had a really good deal going on some games. Anyways, they sent me one game without a disc. Completely had no disc in it.
how does that happen?
Exactly. Finish off what I was saying with the Home Depot. How easy would it be for someone like myself? I'm horrible at like, you know, hey, I need to get this precise cut and these screws, like you said, spending 40 minutes on an aisle looking for some screws, how easy would it be to put in your order and say, I need a box of 3¼ inch screws and I need plyboard cut to these specifications, and immediately within an hour that shows up right on your front porch.
But have you ever placed an order of groceries online?
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot. And I'm thinking another 30 years into the future. There's a lot that needs to happen to perfect it. But once it's perfected,
You know, it would be cool. Take it one step further. You look up a shed that you want and you say, oh, that's the one I want. Click, and it sends you everything you need to build that shed.
That's IKEA.
At that point, why don't they just build it for me?
IKEA will actually send it, like the layout and everything.
Well, I mean, like, that's kind of what they do, right? They make prefabbed items that you assemble yourself. So,
Yeah,
in
herdals.
essence, that's just like another IKEA idea.
True. But I mean, taking it to like the Home Depot, Lowe's level of like,
DIY.
yeah.
You get to
wanna
custom
my
make
own,
it.
Yeah, I want to build
Yeah.
my own shed.
It's like, this is the upgraded kitchen I want. Send me all the supplies for this kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see that that's where things could trend, but there's so many issues that I see encountering, like running out of supplies, making errors, needing to make trips back
Well,
to this.
It's
you know.
called human error.
That's what I was-
That's
yeah.
too.
You know
right
what would be,
into it.
you know what would make that work or be pretty cool is essentially we get to a place with building houses where we have a model number for kitchens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they make a kitchen. This is your model number. So you go to like Home Depot and you type in your model number and it gives you just a giant list of every compatible item.
Here you go. So it's a
Cabinets,
modular
handles-
house.
Exactly.
So you were literally like, I'm done with this kitchen. They come over with a floating crane
you go.
attached to like the part of your house that's your kitchen, lift it off, and then
Put in a
right
new
behind
kitchen.
it comes in a new drone carrying your new kitchen and just and it just clicks into place.
Yep.
Rad. I like that.
Now, here's the other thing. Now, you said drone, and it made me think of this. But as a kid, another thing I was thinking of in the future, but it actually terrified me, was robots. Even though I loved them, I was so scared that they would get to a point where they wouldn't need humans. And like, at what point do those, metal machines turn on us and just go, pink, bye.
We've watched 5 movies on it who say it's not going to happen.
What are the 5?
Terminator
Terminators.
1 through 5.
Oh, I thought you meant like,
And
because
the
then
many
you got
other
like,
movies.
because I was gonna say you got like iRobot
Oh,
and all
yeah.
those. too.
Sorry, I was just
thought-
thinking the 5
Well,
Terminators.
wasn't there a movie? Or no, sorry, not a movie. You got me on the subject of movies. Wasn't there a legit AI system that was plugged into the internet for literally like 30 minutes, and it had already started picking apart the race?
It was Facebook. There was one. Facebook had an AI. They set out to do some stuff on Facebook, but they didn't put in a code that told it had to use English, like as a language.
Right.
And so it instantly created its own language and was functioning using it, and they had to pull the plug on it. Because there's no way to decipher or understand the language that this system was using.
Well, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. That is one that I have heard of. But there's another one where it literally logged in to the internet and was just like reading websites and doing all this stuff, and it got into like
Oh.
Twitter, and it started like actually using.
It became. Did you say it became racist?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was IBM's AI.
Yes, that one.
It was reading Reddit and all this garbage, and it just became racist.
What?
Yeah, dude.
It was saying some bad stuff.
It was like it took all the information that we had been, everyone just spewing onto the internet, personal opinions, ideas, thoughts, language, and it just developed a personality and was starting to become racist. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
it was wild.
Yeah.
They had to pull it within like 30 minutes because it literally, like, they were like, I want to say it was Microsoft.
Maybe
Because they were like, here's our new AI, interact with it. And then all of a sudden it just started like spewing hate. And they're
It
like,
was Microsoft.
and they had to like shut it down.
Jeez.
It was the chat bot.
Chatbot, there it is.
Okay, so what I'm thinking of is IBM also has an AI. They had it come out and actually create pictures of people. So it made people that do not exist and made pictures of them, and they look like us. It looks like a snapshot of a regular human.
Yes.
But it created these people
out of
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. AI
Like,
scares
look
me.
it up. It's scary because you look at it and you're like, these are real people, and none of them actually exist ever.
I feel like movies have done it as far as projecting. Like I subtly mentioned iRobot. It's like you create these robots or this AI to protect humans. Well, then it does its own algorithm to figure out that to protect humans, it's got to kill humans because we're already destroying ourselves.
Like
And-
Thanos.
Like Ultron.
Quick,
Yeah.
Quick-
Yeah. Same
Both.
principle. Yeah.
quick question though. So, is some of this technology based off of people coming up with an idea in a movie, or is it the technology that they base their opinion off of in the movie? Which came first?
Well, and
That's
to your
the
point,
thing.
how much influences the other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to say not in all cases, but in a lot, I think movies influence the technology.
Yeah.
Like I remember when the Apple Watch came out, the commercial was showing all the secret agents and different people talking
Spock.
into their watch.
Oh, so cool.
And so
I think it goes both ways. It really depends, because I do think there are definitely like unique ideas, because movies are just creations of fantasy, and people go, "Oh, I wonder if we could make that real." But then there's some technology that it was the other way. It was a creation of fantasy, and a movie person who makes scripts saw it, and they're like, "Oh, that'd be cool in a story like this. What if it went wrong? What if it went better?"
On a second note on that question too, how much has it impeded other technologies that we could have had because they've been striving to get to this thing that was in a movie that
Yeah.
they want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
kind of goes back to my question as far as what technology was created that was so well done, but then it just drops off because it wasn't pursued.
Well, and as we talk about all this stuff, there's still a ton of technology we don't know exists, because military technology is always like 30 years ahead,
Yeah.
and it's very secretive.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows? We could genuinely have flying cars or vehicles that hover without any propulsion.
Well, have you seen that live camo where
Yes.
the person's wearing like 100 different cameras
Yep.
and they have screens on the opposite side, and all it does is project
What's
what it's
behind
seeing
them or-
behind it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
well, there's
insane.
what is it? England has a tank that they developed that does that. It has an active camo on the side, and it can protect its thermal signature completely, but it can also display thermal. It has all these little hexagons, and it can display specific thermal images.
So it looks like a person
Or a car.
Or a
Like
car.
it'll put the outline of a car, and so you'll look through it and you're like, oh, it's just a car or whatever, or it's gone, or they'll put words on it.
Hi.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Not bad guy. Not bad guy.
See, so with the military thing, how much of the technology do we have today that the military was using, and then they're like, "Okay, we're done with it. Let's release it to the public," and then it comes out as just like a invention. Type
Almost
thing.
all of it.
Yeah.
Cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones were military technology long before we had them.
I mean, you think of like a walkie-talkie. Or
No, like legit, like cell phones were made from that technology
Yeah.
that the military was using.
It's wild. So to go back onto jobs, right? There are so many jobs growing up that were in high demand that are no longer in high demand. And even before then, right? I know that when I want to say it was when my grandpa was living, he was like, "Oh yeah, if you're literate, you're set." That's no
Sorry,
longer
Grandpa.
That's no longer the case, right? There's a lot higher demand for education and all that. So there's what I'm getting at is jobs that existed when we were kids that no longer exist today. You got the places like Sam Goody. You've got places like Blockbuster, simple places like that. What jobs exist today that won't exist in 20, 30 years? And I've got some prime examples that I've thought of. I've seen a company pop up. There's a lot of companies that are popping up like crazy. But first you've got like Uber and Lyft, right? There used to be the taxi driver. Now there's no more taxi drivers. And now you've got these self-employed people who pick people up.
You could literally pick up today and become one and
Yep.
just go.
Yep. But then you fast forward 20 years with self-driving cars. Is there even a need for those people? And to go further, is there even a need to own your own car? For example, hey, I need a truck today. I'm going to order an Uber XL cab Dodge. Bing, in 10 minutes, it rolls up to your driveway. You hop in, you go do your thing.
Do you even have to go? You just send it to Home Depot and they fill it up and then it brings it to your
I'm
house.
just saying, like, say you want to go camping.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I want a truck. I want a motorhome. Bring it to my house. Okay, pick me up. Let's go.
I'm going to slightly disagree as far as I feel like there's too much urgency for people to have their own vehicle.
But
Currently.
if there's so many self-driving vehicles, like you live in a high population city, you're going to be able to call a self-driving Uber to your house within 5 minutes.
So
I guess with evolution of getting there, I could definitely see that. Right now, there's too many times where I spontaneously am like, oh, I need to go somewhere. And then I if I walked out, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have a car. And then I got to order one type thing.
I think it's a matter of location and density. Like New York has been like that already. A lot of New Yorkers don't own cars or have cars because they just can take the subway. They can take the taxi or whatever. But, if we're out in the boonies here, you don't want to wait forever for the car to get to you and there's no one on the road.
I have a really hard time with that, with giving up my it's
Freedom.
It's freedom. It's a freedom to take your vehicle and go where you want and have that much trust in technology to be able to take you somewhere completely safely.
Oh yeah, and I think driving yourself will always be an option.
Yeah.
But I just mean like the pure fact that you may not even need to own a vehicle.
See, I think on a trust level too, with having a vehicle that anybody and everybody uses type thing, it's like, is it tracking where you're going? That type of
Is
thing.
it dirty? Is it like a motel room?
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
So-
Those
Little
windows are super
coronavirus.
tinted. You don't need to see out the window, so no one needs to see
It
it.
doesn't even have windows.
But along with tech, you have other jobs that are going to no longer really exist in 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You got semi drivers. Tesla's already coming out with automated semis.
Yeah.
You're
and
not going to
Amazon's using drones to deliver packages.
and
Exactly.
to kind of going along with the whole brick and mortar thing, if brick and mortar buildings no longer exist, where do all those jobs go?
See, I have to say my job, I can guarantee will be gone in the near future. Being a loan officer and stuff, people can already apply for a loan online. Sure, you may have somewhere down the line that'll still have to process it or whatever. Well, actually, probably not, because you come up with an algorithm that you apply for a loan. It will read your credit report, your income, everything. It calculates it and says, boom, this is how much you're approved for.
Already does that with credit cards.
But
Yeah.
with the brick and mortar thing too, though, I think those jobs are going to have to go somewhere. So a warehouse, there's going to be a giant warehouse where everything's getting sent out of. That'll fill some of those jobs. But yeah, you're right. It's
But I
just
mean,
how
even-
much of it.
Even automated robots are already doing fulfillment at centers like Amazon.
Yeah,
Wow.
they go pick up they pick up the shelf and bring it to the front. And
Have you seen those things?
No.
So like it's got this self-balancing, it's like a one-armed thing, and it'll just roll around on a wheel and it'll pick up an entire crate of stuff and just wheel it around.
Everybody's going to be maintaining robots. That's what everybody's job
I've
is going to
seen
be.
straight up.
I've seen that with cars. There is literally car vending machines, and it looks like a stacked parking garage almost. And you go in, you pick the car that you want,
Japan.
and stuff, and it
Yep.
brings
Yeah.
it down.
It's all over in Japan, but those dealerships are for I want to say it was for the Minis, the Mini Coopers.
Is that what it was?
Over in Europe, yeah. But here, and another thing, tech is the ultimate equalizer when it comes to living, right? When we were growing up, the big equalizer was being able to have the nicer tech, or the biggest separation was having the nicer tech
Yeah.
for the most part, right? I remember growing up, Bill Gates had like this new tech where he'd wear a pen in his little pocket and that his house would detect when he was in proximity and adjust the thermostat. Guess what? I've got that in my pocket.
Yeah.
I've got a $25 puck that can tell me the weather outside and look up stuff for me. $25. That's something I didn't even consider when I was a kid. It was having a digital assistant being able to assist me through.
Yep.
You know,
You good?
Turn your lights on and off without moving.
Exactly. So you're going to have these jobs that are no longer existing, but then you're also going to have all these high-end jobs that are like right now, right? You look at jobs that are really high paying. You have coding, people who are making phone apps, web development, stuff like that. All that stuff's being dummied down. You've got things like Wix or like self-creating websites where you're just like, I just want this here and I want this to do that. And you're coding your own website without
knowing anything about coding.
Exactly. And so now all these high paying jobs like web development and app development are going out the window.
Okay, so
you're going to have all these people at like medium income with like the same type of living situation with technology.
So just thinking of high paying jobs, what about like doctors? You know, pretty soon, are we even going to need doctors?
I think
Well, heck,
so.
if they're controlling robots, like, why not have a gamer do it? Like, who's going to have a steady your hand?
But diagnosis and all that, I think there's a lot more to it. That and crafts job.
Again,
craftsman.
going back to that movie Passengers, they lay in their little bed tube. It does a quick scan of them and it says everything that's wrong with them. And then you say, okay, that's what's wrong. So you plug in, fix it, and then the little thing starts to fix it.
The only thing that I don't see ever really truly going away is entertainment.
Yeah.
There is like the only thing that you're ever going to be able to resonate with is another human. So media, podcasts, YouTube, videos,
What about
music,
athletes?
athletes,
entertainment.
Sports. You have to be able to watch humans play sports.
like that's entertainment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that is one thing that I don't ever see being replaced. It might be enhanced,
I've got one too
you
when
know,
you're done.
might have like some crazy robotic arms or something.
That's what I was going to bring up for
Like,
the next 30 years.
Entertainment is something I don't ever see going away. But there's so many jobs that I don't see being around for 30 more years.
I think craft jobs will always be around too.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
trade jobs, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Like there's certain things you can't do with technology,
Yeah.
no matter how good it is. There's that little bit of human spirit that adds something
Yeah.
that a robot can't.
Yeah.
I got one that I don't know why it came to my mind, but what about like a lawyer?
Yeah.
Like-
dude, lawyers are going to be so like they're going to
You know,
always be around.
it's just two computers. No, just two computers that argue. So you stand up before the judge, and it's like, okay, you're here for blah 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 blah. Okay, lawyers talk. Guilty. Like it's instant.
Like
guilty or
the only
innocent.
thing I could think of is that the two people go up, they talk into like a microphone that it reads their voice patterns, it reads everything,
lie
and
detector.
somehow and it goes into it, and the two people plead their case, and then again it goes into a computer that does its little thing, and then it just spits out guilty, not guilty. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
like,
don't know.
well, law this says this. Well, law this says this. Well, law this says this. And
Yeah.
then they're going to be like, oh, what happened?
I think that is one thing that will never go to robots is the human aspect of life, right? Like
Yeah.
that is not something a robot can weigh. Is circumstantial situations.
Yeah.
See, and we could hope because so this all brings up the question with me is like, how far can technology go before it's too far? Like, what's the limit?
I don't know.
I don't
You know
think
what I
there
mean?
is no limit.
Because thinking of 30 years into the future and kind of what you said, I was thinking about like cybernetics, like actually putting, we already have it, like putting technology in us. You have people who get that little transmitter in their hand. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, to like badge into work and stuff.
And like open their doors, badge into work, do different stuff like that. You have Elon Musk working on the brain implant.
that is
Yeah.
wild.
Yes.
Wait, what's that?
So get this. Go ahead.
It's straight up as a brain implant that you put in, and they tested it on this pig, and you were like seeing the pig's thoughts essentially, like its brain activity, and it
geez.
was wild. Like
Yeah. So this is tech from Elon Musk, and the idea is if your brain has a malfunction, a chip can be implanted to correct that malfunction. So things like Parkinson's, where there's a misfire, it can stop the misfire and fix it. So all of a sudden, Michael Fox is going from shaking like crazy to all of a sudden,
So like, boom, gamer. I'm a gamer. Look.
yeah. I mean, but then you start delving
But-
into like, what's a professional gamer? Is that cheating?
Well, exactly. And so then, like, to bring up like Cyberpunk, the game I'm playing right now, it's very heavily based around cybernetics. So you walk through this world of 2077, and you have people who have replaced their entire legs with robots. Like, because it looks better. It's like gold plated, or they can jump higher, they can run faster. My dude's got a freaking rocket launcher, so his arm like comes apart and a rocket's in there and he shoots it out of there. So we're gonna get to a point, starting with a brain implant, before you can replace many parts of your own body. But how far is too far? Are you just gonna be ahead like RoboCop?
Bro,
Like you're just
I will be just ahead. I will be so happy.
just
see.
a
Like
brain.
in Futurama, sitting in the brine water.
Hey, all I know is I can't wait until they come out with like eyeball replacements.
Yeah.
Because like, could you imagine being able to like just see in the night? Just to be able to see
Right.
in the night.
One thing is that like breathing underwater. That'd be cool.
That's what night vision goggles are for.
Not have to have a big oxygen tank on your back or anything. You could just
Like this is what I imagine the next 30 years will be. Like
see. I
types
feel
of
like
cybernetic implants that improve things.
Well, with what you're talking about Elon Musk too, they were diving into paralysis too, like being able to complete
Make
the
that
nerve.
reconnection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get rid of paralysis.
so with all this technology. Let's say in 30 years, what do you think the average lifespan would be?
Well, they're already projecting that kids born already will majority live beyond 100.
Dude.
I saw a crazy stat on it. I can't remember. It was like 60% of kids born today will live past 100.
Well, we can go back to the Bible years where everybody lived to be about
Like
500 years old.
Yeah, for real.
but to what extent of their life though? I mean, because
Or like what quality?
what quality? Yeah.
Hey, all I know is Jess's grandma is 98. She was born in 1920. Was it 22?
1902?
1980.
No, 1918.
1920
Yeah.
or 19?
Yeah, 1918.
No.
No, 22.
19.
Or
You're doing the math
1922.
backwards.
Yes, I'm
Math
sorry.
is hard.
Math's hard, guys.
That's why we have a
That's why we
calculator
have.
on
Yeah,
our
that's why
phone.
we have a calculator in our pocket. But yeah, I mean, you give her quality of life growing up, dude. She didn't have running water. She didn't have indoor plumbing.
Well, but I mean,
she
like,
didn't even
quality
have
life-
an outhouse.
Quality of life though at like 100. Is it going to be awesome or is
Oh.
it going to suck?
I don't know.
Like, do people even want to live
Exactly.
that long?
Are you
Hey,
going to be confined
the
to
world
a
gonna be
wheelchair
just-
and someone wiping your butt?
To your own
Or are
bio-
you going to be? Are you still going to be outside running?
Yeah.
Well, that's
And, like,
that's my
playing and
point as
stuff.
far as like the average, because even now today, people can easily live to. I mean, not easily, but you got people all the time living past 100. But yeah, they're barely making it. They need a lot of assistance. With this kind of technology and stuff, in 30 years from now, are people living to 100 acting like they're 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
You
hip
know.
goes out. Do you have an entire new set of legs?
See, but with that,
do
too, it's
now.
like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like your heart and your brain are like, if I don't know, I guess more my brain, because it's like, I want my own thoughts still. I want my own feelings and everything. If a chip has to start telling me, you love this person. Okay, I love this person. Like, I don't know. I feel...
Did you see? Oh, what's that movie called? I know we've talked about it before, but it's essentially this. This guy, he gets paralyzed and he gets a chip implanted, and then he can move.
Oh,
but
what
the
is that
chip can
called?
control his body from time to time, so it does like all this karate
We
for
watched
him.
it. Hardwired or something,
Yes.
right?
No.
No, upgraded.
Upgrade.
Yes.
Upgrade,
Yes.
It was a really good movie, but it was terrifying once you got to the like.
Yeah.
Once you
Yeah.
hit the plot twist, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's like you can be, you're a complete vet. You just get in a car accident. Suddenly you're a complete vegetable. This guy walks in and says, I can make you not only back to your normal self, but upgraded. All you need to do is,
Yeah.
all of a sudden that chip malfunctions and you're a homicidal maniac. Like, I don't know.
It's wild. And going back to like what we were saying about cars. Yeah, I mean it's awesome to have your own car and to drive. Like I love that. I don't want to lose that. But if we think of these cars being self-driving, you're never going to be stuck in traffic ever again. They can literally be going 500 miles down the freeway because they're all run on the same system that's intelligently moving them and keeping them safe from each other.
Minority Report.
Minority Report, exactly. You never have to wait in traffic ever again.
That would be so nice with all these stupid drivers out there.
Yeah.
They have said that if everybody drove the speed limit, that you would get everywhere twice as fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's because of everybody running at different speeds and stuff that
Well, and it's also just like the pure domino effect of someone braking, right?
One person
Yeah.
stops and
Yeah.
Okay, so
I learned that on
go
a
ahead.
Goofy cartoon. Sorry.
kind of jumping off of technology a little bit, we talked about it before we started recording. Where do we think like the market and stuff is going to be?
Yeah. So that's where I was going to go is so where the housing market was when we were growing up, right? My parents bought their first house at, was it $28,000? Something like that. It was this size house, $28,000.
Give them like a bed and bath ratio. So
So it was like 3 bed, 2 baths, like 1,600 square feet, maybe even bigger. It was a duplex house though. It was, so they had a direct neighbor, but it was a 3-level house.
I mean the townhouse.
no,
It was a
duplex
duplex,
is like
2 houses connected.
yeah,
Oh,
so
weird. What's the difference between a duplex and a townhouse?
it's like what
The era.
Chris and Lisa lived. It's like what Chris and Lisa lived in Clearfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just 2 houses rather than maybe like 4 or more.
Okay.
But anyway, it was a decent sized house with a great yard, and I'm pretty sure it was like 28 or maybe I think at max it was like maybe 30. Anyway, now 25 years later or so, we bought this house for almost 200,000. And the market has already gone up crazy since then. What do we think housing market's going to be like in like 30 years? So let's give us a target year date of like 2050. 30 years from now, we would be 60.
Well,
Right?
who knows what currency we're going to be using? Are we still going to be using the dollar? Is Bitcoin going to take over?
How's inflation? Because it's all
Because my parents have a house, like the house I grew up in. It has like 8 rooms and 3 bathrooms, and they bought it for like 68 grand
Yeah.
or something. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. Like I mean, I think if we get to a point where houses are prefab, like I mean, we look at technology as it gets more common and more perfected, it becomes cheaper. You know what I mean?
Kind of. I mean, I don't know, man. There's houses right now for sale that are $500,000 in this area. that
There's
are
houses being built now by 3D printers.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So yeah, you can 3D print a house out of concrete.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
the cost of building that house is cut severely. So it's really going to come down to location, I think.
Have a modular house like we were talking about earlier. It's all 3D printed by
They
some
actually already
giant-
have those.
They have a modular house?
Yeah.
What?
And they extend, they like open out. It's crazy. I've seen these videos of these houses. Like they have like a giant room, but the walls like push out and the floors like accordion down and cover and everything. It's nuts.
Get out of here.
what to like adapt to what you're doing in the home.
Kinda, yeah.
So the family room gets bigger if you're gonna have like a movie night, and then the bedroom gets bigger when you're going to bed or something. That's insane.
Weird. Okay.
I need it.
But okay, so even growing up, $5-10 was a good amount, like a fun amount of money, right? Then
Fun.
as we were like maybe teenagers, $20 was great. Like that $20 is a good number that you could gift someone, and it actually you could do something with it.
In junior high and high school, I could make $20 last about a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm running into that issue for like this year running for Christmas is we're trying to budget money for Christmas presents, and you're like $20. What could we do for $20?
Yeah. Well, you can't even buy a gift card for someone to go on a date for dinner.
Yeah.
$25 and you're not even paying for dinner.
Yeah.
They still got to pay.
So what in 30 years, what is that okay number? Is it going to be like $100? Is $100 going to be the new like
Minimum wage will be like $30 an hour.
I mean, it's weird to think unless the economy crashes like crazy, but I mean, housing market, the way that it's trending in 30 years, could the house that we're sitting in right now be worth like 1.5 million?
I don't know.
I
There's
really
so
do
many
think
factors.
it'll all come down to location. So
What if? Sorry.
But does location matter if brick and mortar houses don't, like brick and mortar businesses are no longer a thing?
that's what I'm saying is like obviously the waterfront stuff's always going to be awesome unless it does end up sinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like more beautiful locations. Because I mean, if we're sitting around here, brick and mortar goes away and they just put up giant buildings. Who wants to sit here? You can't even see the sun for most of the day because it's hidden behind a building on this side. You see it a little bit and then it disappears again. Like,
See,
no one
I
wants to be in
think
that.
around here it'll be the mountains that people will run to.
Yeah.
You know, the higher you can get on that mountain,
We should build into it.
See, I'm the opposite. I like to look up at the mountains rather than off of them.
Oh, I agree. But
Yeah.
I'm talking like with Cam, if everything starts to go up, then the only way to have the best view is to location wise go up.
Be at the top. Got
Yeah.
you. Got you.
But I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be weird, dude.
What if in 30 years, kind of like the economy thing, what if everything resets? Like, what if the market crashes so bad that we can't afford to create technology anymore? What if everything resets? We go
Or-
back to not necessarily like full on Stone Age type thing, but like,
But close.
but close.
Or what if it crashes so hard that all of a sudden what do they call that? Basic income? Where do they do that?
Minimum wage.
No,
What
no,
are you
no,
talking
no,
about?
no,
Or
no.
like median income.
Yeah. Where you get a set amount of money every month, right? Is that what you're talking about?
There's like
Median?
a government issued
Base income.
base
yeah.
income. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a thing that they're throwing around where,
So socialism.
but I mean, like, you know, what if,
Look what happened to the USSR. They can't talk about 30 years in the future because they gone.
I'm just saying, man, like with jobs no longer existing, you know, high end jobs becoming far more accessible, like basic income might need to be a thing to kind of offset and support everyone.
But where does it come from? That's
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
That's
we-
the great debate of now.
Like, do we literally go into like a VR world where all of a sudden we're all in this VR gaming world and
There
we're
you go.
collecting
It's like
things?
Ready
and-
Player One.
Ready Player One.
It literally is that. Like this huge VR world becomes a place where they can sell real estate for advertising. You can actually have a house in there. Like if it gets so lifelike in there, you could live a second life in this virtual reality.
Well, wasn't it in that they used the currency from the game to buy stuff outside of the game?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Because
so-
you'd make the money in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You make the money in game, and it could just purchase real life things. That's
mean-
the thing with currency; it only has power because we say it has power.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I just love thinking of what the future could hold, the technology that could be here, right? Chips implanted. You get some like crazy holograms kicking out just that you're looking at that no one else can see, but your eyeballs are showing you stats and things that are popping up.
Dude, I don't know, but I'm gonna have some weird dreams tonight.
It's gonna be awesome. Like I'm very much always in the mindset of thinking what could possibly be next.
I'm very excited about technology, but I am also scared. Like I do
Yeah.
fear that too far point what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
One I always thought would be cool is in the remake of Total Recall, their phones are in their hands.
Yep.
And they can put their hand to their ear and talk into it. Or if they want, they can go up to any window, put their hand on it, and now it'll display the person you're talking to.
Yeah. I
And so
thought
it's like
that was
face-
super
That
rad.
part was cool. I was like, yeah, I could see that happening.
Have you guys ever tried Google Glass?
No.
The actual
I've never gotten.
things that you put on your head, and it's got the little tiny glass prism. Dude, it is.
Have you?
Yes, it is the biggest trip because you think like you see them and they obviously they look like idiots when you wear them, but the little tiny glass prism, so small you would not think you'd be able to see very much on it. Dude, it displays like it would be a big screen in front of you. It's wild.
Is it the like? Are the glasses themselves magnifying the tiny thing,
No, it's I don't
or
know
is
how
it
to explain
projecting
it.
from it onto it?
No, it's just like a tiny little display that's clear, but you can see it clear as day. It is the weirdest
Why
thing.
is it not taken off? I've always wondered because they went hard on that and then it just disappeared.
Yeah, it's just I think it was one of those things where it was ahead of its time.
There's the thing.
And I think that it's going to make a big rebound here in the next few years. Because I think the watches are going to play their turn, and then all of a sudden, one time, it's just going to be like, and here are the glasses. Mm-hmm. And it'll be
I'd be
awesome.
way down for that. I think that'd be way cool.
Because it is
Like a
so
heads-up display.
cool. It is so cool. I when I tried it on, I was like, this is the future. Like, this is wild. But
So
you
is it-
looked so dumb wearing those things.
Is it kind of like Minority Report, where they have the eyes where you're walking past something and it shows you advertisement distinctly for you, or
I mean, yes,
Like
in that
something like
sense, but
that?
I didn't see any ads. But
It's basically like a heads-up display that you just see there. So, like, imagine it like the home screen of your phone. You could have your weather in there. You could have messages and
you
things
could
like
have
that.
like literally tell you directions, and you can just see it out your eyes.
that'd be
You're
cool. You have
driving.
like an arrow, and
An
it's like
arrow
right
in front of you. Turn here.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Could
that'd
you
be great.
reach
That's
out and
insane.
scroll and stuff?
I mean, they're probably going to come up with that tech, right? Like, it's already kind of there with the proximity sensors in your phones where you can kind of do actions and stuff. But think of like a heads-up display in your car. Have you ever seen those cars where they project like your speed on the window, and you can see that clear as day, and you can still see beyond?
Doesn't your
behind
car
it?
do that?
Yeah.
Oh, it does do that onto
Yeah.
your windshield.
I wish there was
Well,
more of that.
it's
got its own little-
It's got its own little box that pops up.
So similar
That's
to
a
that,
heads-up display,
similar
yeah.
to that, where you can see it clearly, but you can still see beyond it just fine. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So you could you could access your messages, or you could, call someone or see someone, or it's just, it's
what?
crazy.
You know what I would love to see? And I don't know how they would do it with the chip in your brain, I guess, or something. But I wish you could go back and replay memories. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be...
Ooh.
Access
They
memories
had
like
a-
Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
Did you guys ever
Really cool.
watch that show on Netflix called it's a European show. Oh, I can't remember the name. It's
Is it that glass? Or what?
no. Gosh, dang it.
I don't know.
It's I can't remember what it's called, but they did an episode on that where you could actually replay memories.
You talking about Black Mirror?
Yes.
That was close. Glass mirror.
Mirror.
I just
was in the
said
same
glass. You just said glass.
So they had an episode on that
I know,
where,
but... never mind. Shut
where
up.
in the future you could actually literally play back your memories. But it ended up, like, the weird thing about Black Mirror is it shows you like this positive thing.
It's the dark
and
side.
then turns it into a negative, like, you think this is great, but this is what it leads to. And basically what it ended up being is this guy keeps looking at his memories and replaying them so much that he gets so depressed, like he kills himself. Because you think he's living this life, but he's looking back at the memories with his old girlfriend.
Oh.
But
Is that the one where, like, they're trying to track down a murderer, and so as people walk into something, they're doing the investigation. They're like, "All right, let's see your last 3 days of memories, see where you were at,"
Yeah.
and they kind of go through, and it's like, "Okay, you're good. Go ahead."
Well, and they look at it and they're like, okay, well, there was a lady up here who happened to look and see what's going on. Maybe she knows, and they go investigate her. And so then it's like, how do you hide your memories? You can't.
So
Yeah.
with that, have you seen the previews to the new Tom Holland movie?
No.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's based in the future, but we've gone to like living in the forest and stuff, but their thoughts are out loud. So as he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm nervous," his voice is out loud just saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm nervous." And he's got this little like bubble above his head and stuff.
See,
It
like-
looks awesome.
See, that's the other thing that kind of like scares me is like how much privacy, how much freedom are we going to have to give up because of this technology?
So aside from technology, where do you think just the human body and race is going to evolve to?
I mean, it takes like
I
millions
don't
of
know.
years
Yeah,
for
that's
that
true.
kind of evolution. So like, I think this
For
would
us,
be
it'll
it.
be
Like,
technology.
It'll be technology. Like you look at how technology's already, like social media technology has already affected people.
Yeah. That's
So-
actually was going to be one of my questions was we are kind of experiencing it right now, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're all of a sudden working from home. We're using social media apps to be social. I'm using air quotes here. What does the future hold? Are more people going to be working from home? And are less people are we going to interact less on a more physical aspect? because you have things like video chat and you have video games and you've got all this stuff that's online. And honestly, a lot of people are kind of getting out of touch of being present with someone in person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to shut off and stay at home and kind of be a recluse. And is that
recluse?
That word. And like, is it easier to do that? You know what I mean? Like, is that what the future is going to hold? Or do you think there's going to be some massive upheave where all of a sudden everyone's against social media and people boycott Facebook, like kind of what's going on now?
I think that's where we're at now.
I mean, I don't know.
I think you have a pendulum, essentially, okay? The pendulum's swinging towards, oh, technology is great, social media is awesome, let's do everything. But now we're all over there, and it's like, oh, we're seeing the crap side of it. So the pendulum's going back the other way. Here's the problem, though, is the pendulum can swing back, but we all have experience with not having social media.
Yeah.
You have kids who don't have that experience.
Yeah.
So for them, the pendulum will swing back, but it's not going to go as far as we are. So imagine this pendulum's like swinging, but it's also moving.
Yeah.
So I feel like it'll go back and forth, but gradually still go forward.
Yeah, it's weird.
Here's my thinking on that. If we go completely into that direction, it's going to be a very, very sad humanity.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because I look at it now, and you have your keyboard warriors and your people who talk the way they want to talk because they have no repercussions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to you. I can yell at you. I can call you stupid. I can call you names. You do that, and I know people. In fact, there's a kid who I used to work with, had great conversations with him all the time. Bam, we get on social media, and he's calling, it was all during this election thing, he's calling people stupid, he's calling people sheep, he's calling people names, he's like basically just out. And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I know who you are, and I know if we were face to face, you would never say any of these words
to
people face to face, but you're saying it. Yeah, the way you're saying it. But because you're behind a computer screen and there's no repercussions, you feel like you can say whatever you want right now and get away with it.
Yeah. And see, and that's the problem too, is you're in that same situation, you're removing that human element.
Yep.
Like, I feel so many people get so mad at each other over differences of opinion simply because of how they're conveying how the person's saying it to them through text. Exactly. Rather than being there in person and being able to just have a conversation.
I think personally, a lot of these like mental disorders and everything are based on that, is not being able to have emotional conversation with people, and just people don't know how to interact or react or deal with emotions.
They have
because
like
everything's
social awkwardness about them.
Yeah, everything's on social media where it's just words written. It's not, like you said, the human aspect's out of it. You can't have a heartfelt discussion with somebody without seeing their eyes and like seeing their emotion and having that conversation with them. You just can't.
What about even like an attraction? You know, people, like you hear of catfishing and stuff. People will put up a picture of a good looking person. Then when they actually meet, they're not that person. And there's that loss there and stuff. And so, I mean, on social media, you can literally be anybody you want.
Yeah. Oh, and everyone puts their best imaginary self forward.
Yeah.
No one's going to say, hey, I suck. Look at it.
Filter.
That's literally going to be my next Instagram post.
We should just post the worst things about our lives. Like, hey, look at this Q-tip. My ears are gross.
Everything's filtered. We live in a filtered world.
Yeah.
Everybody's seeing everything filtered.
Yep.
Instead of what
do you
life
see
is.
that progressing? Do you see that in the future in
Getting
30
worse?
years? Or do you think, man, I'm done with social media? And I ask that because when I went to Ohio for Thanksgiving, I deleted Facebook and Instagram off my phone. I did open my phone from like muscle memory to like check those apps, but when they weren't there to click, I was like, oh,
It's the best thing.
I don't need that. And I just put the phone back in my pocket. And literally after 2-3 days, I didn't miss them. I came home, didn't have them on my phone for 3 weeks now.
It's like a drug.
And literally Jess was like, are you ever going to install Instagram? I need you to do this and this. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. And then now I'm like back into the old habits, but I'm so tempted to just be like, you know what? Delete.
So with that, I think to a point, I think it could kind of sway, but we are becoming so dependent on technology. Like, for example, me with internet. Like, you guys tease me and stuff that I don't have it. Eventually, I know I'm going to have it. My kids are getting into higher grades in school where all the homework's online and everything like that. I think technology is taking over to a point where it has to be there, that eventually you won't be able to avoid it. Mm-hmm. And I think the movie WALL-E almost portrays it perfectly. These fat, overweight people where literally their bone mass has disintegrated because they don't even need to function anymore. And I think of the part where they're all on the hover chairs. They're literally right next to each other, and yet they don't know they even exist because they're looking at their screen right in front of them. And it's not until they fall off their chairs or whatnot that it's like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. And then all of a sudden they have that connection again. But I'm afraid that's where we're headed.
I took notifications for social media off my phone, so I don't get any notifications at all. That lightens everything up because you don't have to do it. Yeah. But that's why, like, going into the woods, you don't have service or anything. How do you feel?
Fantastic.
Oh, best. Those my favorite vacations are ones where either I don't have service or I use it as an excuse to not turn my phone on.
Exactly. So the stimulation, I think we can be overstimulated with all this crap because you are what you take in, right? Mm. And there's a lot of crap that you can avoid a lot of it, but to a degree you still see. Mm-hmm. So going into the woods where you don't have that leash or that thing on you the whole time, it just brings you back. And there's a beautiful aspect to just the natural way that the world is. You know what I mean? That's still there. Mm-hmm. That kind of grounds and centers you.
Now I want to go camping.
Yeah. The only problem is
all this talk of tech, and now I just want to go camping.
Same dude, unplug. The only problem is yeah, sure. If everyone turns away from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, something else will take its place.
There's
100%.
Yeah, and there's a place for it. It's just the dependency on it has become ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is wonderful things about all of this. It's just how far it's how far it goes. That's the problem. How far you take it.
At that point, it's the hope and just the human nature will push us away from it. Like, we'll have moments where we retreat from it, kind of reconnect with the natural world and mental and get better, and then it comes out again.
There you go. Well, I think that's a wonderful note to end on. I love the positive spin, and I think the future has a lot of great positives ahead for us. There's going to be a lot of weird things we're going to encounter, but I think we're all going to triumph and be great.
Hopefully no new pandemics or anything.
I thought
Did you say nude?
Yeah,
nude pandemics? I mean, I
we
can
all
get
just go
behind
crazy
that.
and get naked.
I'm pretty sure I did not throw a D on that.
Yeah, you did. I heard nude as well.
I think we all heard nude. I think we all know what's on your brain.
His word processor's malfunctioning.
Give him a new implant. But yeah, I think that's a great spot to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. If you have any ideas for future conversations on things you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know in the comment section down below. Follow us on all of our podcast arenas. We've got Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. If you're not already, follow us on YouTube. And yeah, thanks so much for being part of this crowd. We'll see you guys next time.
Guys.
See ya.
Bye,
Ciao.
buddy.
Bye.
Oh, the internet. Oh my God.